Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about makeup over 40. In case you missed it, I did a video kind of talking about age in the beauty industry and kind of came out of the closet to discuss my age. It was a little stressful, but the response from you guys was amazing. And a lot of you are over 40 also. So I wanted to start making content for you guys. I feel like there's just not any. And I mean, as we get older, we're not doing our makeup like we're 20 anymore. So I wanted to kind of address some of the major things that I keep hearing. First of all, myths, things that are supposedly you can't do over 40, but it's not necessarily that you can't do them, it's that you need to do them differently. So really hitting 35 or 40, you just need to change the methods in which you do things, the order in which you apply things. You just got to do it a little different, you know, and you can make it work for you. You can absolutely get a full beat over 40, okay? Full beat over 40. So if you guys want to hear my tips, kind of like debunking maybe like the 5 biggest myths I keep hearing for women over 40, hear my thoughts, hear my tips, suggestions, products, all that good stuff, and watch me apply them, because I'm going to apply this face for you. Then keep on watching. First thing before you do your makeup, the most important thing is skincare. Now, I've already prepped my face, but I am going to be using this Dr. Brandt Neck Sculpting Cream with the Gua Sha technique. And one of my problem areas is definitely turkey neck. Like it's hereditary, my mom has it. So finding a neck cream that really works has definitely been something that I've been focusing on lately. So the Gua Sha technique, which is kind of something that is new to me, is where you use a tool. Now this one is broken. This neck cream comes with the tool. This is a rose quartz. It was much bigger. It's now in 2 pieces because I dropped it. It fell off of my bathroom counter onto my scale, and my scale is made of glass, so this shattered, which is really unfortunate. I'm so bummed out. But anyway, these pieces are big enough still to work, so I'm going to show you how to do it with that. I'm going to just read you from the instructions. It says that this is the Eastern Chinese technique of Gua Sha, and it's an ancient Asian massage technique utilizing a smooth-edged stone with mild pressure to help release tension. This massage technique smooths and visibly tones the look of the jawline, makes the neck appear firmer and more toned, and reduces the appearance of sagging. Dr. Brandt recommends in an upward motion you apply the cream from your collarbone to your jaw, and then you massage it in with the tool. So how you're supposed to do it is you take it on the side and you drag it upwards towards your jaw. I like to do it 10 times on each side of the neck. And then this piece here actually was like on the end. I think it was like on this end right here. And it had like a little bit of a jagged edge here. And what it says to do with that is to go to the center of the neck with the rigid end. In upward strokes, you stop at the jawline and massage horizontally with light pressure, like just like this. So you go up, and then you do this. And I definitely feel like the muscle kind of being stimulated. So I've been using this for about a week or 2, and I'm enjoying it. Have I seen like an overnight, like crazy facelift result? No, but it definitely does look better than it did. I mean, I definitely, it's not that bad right now. So I'm going to continue to use this and see if I see results over the next month or so, and I'll keep you guys updated on that. So the first myth or set of myths. I'm going to be covering 5 topics, and they're all going to kind of mesh together, and most of it has to do with the skin. So the first thing is I can't wear full coverage foundation. Well, that's false. You can absolutely wear a full coverage foundation. The key to anything at any age is knowing your skin type and your own facial features. You know, you can be over 40 and have oily skin, so you might want a more matte full coverage. You can be over 40 and have dry skin, which is more likely, and you want something a little more dewy. As we age, we lose moisture and hydration in the skin, and so dryness is very, very common. I am dry because I live in the desert. I wasn't always this dry, but because of my skincare routine, I am really able to wear matte full coverage foundations without a problem. So to say you can't wear matte foundations or you can't wear full coverage foundations is a little silly. Now, if you're 65, do I recommend a matte full coverage foundation? Probably not, because it's going to, at that point, you're in a whole different situation than in your 40s. You know what I mean? You have a lot more, typically, you have a lot more loss of collagen, you've lost a lot of elasticity, and you have a lot more wrinkles. So that situation is going to be a whole different situation. But right now, the first thing to keep in mind is you want a good primer. We have a lot of issues with our skin as we age: redness, enlarged pores, fine lines and wrinkles, things like that. So I think a primer is a really important step. Whether it's a color correcting primer, I think having something that has skincare benefits is something that you might want to think about, something with hyaluronic acid that's going to add moisture to the skin. The one I'm going to be using today is the Perfect Prep Neutralizing Primer from Mally Beauty. I like this one. It's kind of got like a peachy tone to it, so it really like corrects the skin. I don't know, it makes the skin look, it just makes things look a little bit more even, a little bit more dewy, radiant. I just find, I've been using this primer for like a week, and I just find it to be really beautiful. It just makes my skin look so much better before I even get to the foundation step. So I really like this one, but there are so many primers. Dermalogica makes a really great primer, and they're such a great skincare brand. Theirs is called Age Perfect, and it's a blurring primer, and it's amazing. I've used it in many, many videos, so that's another one. So like I said, another issue that we face as we get older is enlarged pores. I've actually had enlarged pores most of my life, so I've gotten really good at learning how to minimize them. You guys know I always use the Tatcha Silk Canvas. This is something I've been using for about a year now. I just kind of rub my finger in. It's a balm-like texture, and I just press it right into the pores in the center of my face. And you don't want to go too ham with this product because it will cause your foundation to get cakey if you put too much. What's great about this is it's made of silk and a bunch of great skincare ingredients. So you can apply this under the eyes. So if you do have fine lines, like, you can just do a little swipe under there, and it is going to help to minimize those, also while hydrating. Now, I already have an eye cream on as well, but listen, I'm all about, like, give me all the moisture. And again, that's why I'm able to wear full coverage matte foundations, like not chalky matte, I always say this, like a satiny matte finish. I'm able to do that because I'm really like loading up on the hydration. Even if you're oily, you still need to be hydrated. So just make sure that your skincare routine is on point. And I'm going to be doing videos on like best practices, best products, steps, and all that for anti-aging skincare routines, so not to worry, that will be coming. But for now, I just kind of wanted to tackle more of like an overview of like tips and tricks, do's and don'ts, busting myths, whatever, of over 40 makeup. So the next myth is that you can't wear concealer. Now, that is just wrong, okay? You obviously don't want to put a ton of concealer, but you do want concealer. Here is my tip on how to use less concealer under the eyes while still getting the full effect of brightening, of covering up whatever your problems are. The first thing you want to do is you want to go in with some sort of corrector. Now, the corrector that you use depends on your problems. If you have dark circles under the eye here, you're going to want to use something with like a salmony undertone or peach or even like a orange. Something like this tone here is great because that will cancel out any blueness, any, you know, darkness under there. It looks a little silly at first because you're putting this like super dark orange stuff under your eye, but you want to basically place it right over the area and just kind of blend it into the skin. For me, I don't have dark circles, but I do want to brighten. And I don't hardly ever do this at this point because, listen, I do get Botox, just full disclosure. So I don't have a lot of problems in this area right now, but as we age, like I know it's gonna get bad. Also too, I've been doing anti-aging skincare and prep and treating my face as if it was 40 since I was 20. So it's part of the reason why my skin looks the way it does is because I take my anti-aging stuff very seriously. But this is what I will do as things get more dry under here and more crepey and more fine lines. So I just want to show you, like, brightening is definitely something that's important. So I'm taking this is the Perfect Lighting Radiant Touch Magic Wand from IT Cosmetics. And I'm just going to apply that right here. So again, if you have dark circles, you would apply like the salmony color right there or wherever. And then I'm going to take a sponge and I'm just going to press it in. And you don't need a lot of product. Like, this is very brightening, as you can see. And it's a very thin formula, so it's kind of like the consistency of a moisturizer. Okay, so now you can see that that brightened a lot. I also have some lines right here. I've had them my whole life. It's hereditary. I don't know what it's from. It's just hereditary. My mother has it too. So I like to put a little bit of brightening right there because anything that you put brightness to will pull the area forward. So I like to just kind of fill in those little lines and pull them forward to get rid of them a little bit. I do put filler in there, so that helps, but I'm way overdue. So that is what I would do under there. Now, if you have any redness on the skin, you might want to correct that now. So I have the Bye Bye Redness from IT Cosmetics. Now I'm going to talk a lot about IT Cosmetics today because they're a brand that has a lot of skincare benefits in their products, but also they address a lot of problem situations with their products because the founder has massive rosacea. So she created the brand kind of to address her own skin issues. So we have a lot of tools here in this brand. So this is what the product looks like. It's kind of loose in texture. It's very, very creamy, so you don't need a lot. I just dipped my brush in, got the tiniest amount. Now my redness is mostly around my nose. So you want to just kind of put a very little bit of product onto the red area and just blend it out. You don't want to put too much of this. Just a little bit. You don't even need too much because it will just cancel any redness out ever. So if you have any little capillaries that are broken or anything like that, this is going to help you. Any sunspots or like anything. I had a pimple, so I just want to cover up the remnants of that. This will help with that as well. So you can use this to really perfect the canvas, and then you don't really need as much coverage. I have a lot of redness on my cheek area. I'm just going to put the tiniest bit just to show you guys what this product can do. You do not need a lot. Okay, so now that we've done all of our color correcting, it's time to do concealer. You thought I was going to say foundation, didn't you? No, I'm going to do concealer because doing the concealer now is going to save us later, and I'll tell you why in a second. So, where is my concealer? Oh, another under eye brightening product I did want to mention is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. This one's great because it has the salmony pink undertone already in it, and it brightens, so it does both in one product. It's excellent. It's really, really good. And just a little trick. If you have a little bit of drooping right here, like I do, you can go into this product and you can just kind of place it on the sides of your mouth, and it's going to brighten up and pull that forward so it doesn't look as droopy. And you can use that technique with any droopage you have. You can use it right here if you have some. I know this is a big problem area for some people. Not for me just yet, but you know, it's going to happen to all of us, let's be real. So anyway, that's just another added little trick. When it comes to concealer, the same thing that I said about foundation applies. Your under eye situation is going to be different than mine. So if you're very, very dry, you might want to go with something that's a little more dewy, a little more hydrating. There are some great options at the drugstore. You have the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Concealer. It's not a lot of coverage, but it is hydrating and you will get some coverage, and if you're correcting, you don't need a ton of coverage. That's why we corrected first. And then the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer is also not matte or drying at all. It has more coverage than the CoverGirl version, and it's beautiful. I love this, and it's like $4. I've been using this for years, and I love it. I also like the True Match Super Blendable Concealer. This one's really good as well. Has a lot of coverage. And then for more higher end, you have the Naked Skin Concealer from Urban Decay, which is great. And the Too Faced Multi Sculpting Concealer. This is more coverage, but it's not drying at all. I love that one. Today, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. Now, this one is a bit matte, so use whatever works for you. It's not drying and it doesn't crease though at all. So I like this one. It's not like Tarte Shape Tape. Like if you're over 40 and you're using Tarte Shape Tape and it's working for you, do you? But I doubt it. It's very, very, very matte, and it will dry your under eyes out real quick. Here's the technique that I recommend. Most YouTuber beauty gurus are going to tell you to put a giant triangle right here. And that's really not what you want to do when you're over 40. Now that we've color corrected, we don't need all that. So really, what you can do is just put a little bit right there. Just like that. And I like to highlight the center of my face as well, but you don't really need a lot. And you can also, if you don't want to use concealer for that, you can use an under eye illuminator, like the Sit Cosmetic one. Other brands make those, by the way. Matte has their Prep and Prime highlighting light boost pen, whatever you want to call this. But there's a lot of brands that have those. Anyway, so here's what I would do. And that's really it. That's all I need because I've color corrected. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again. Now, I highly recommend you blending this out with a sponge. This concealer dries really quickly, so I'm going to talk and move at the same time. I like to use a silicone sponge when I'm first pressing the product into my skin because I find that it keeps more product on my face, but this is not something you need to do. I'm pushing this product into my pores to help minimize my pores, so I like this sponge because it has a silicone on one side and a sponge on the other. But this sponge is damp, so I'm going to then take the product and I'm going to bring it up under the eye and then just blend the rest of it out. Now, please notice, I did not bring product past this cheekbone. I do not recommend, if you're over 40, putting concealer in this area under your eye because there's too much product. You can blend it out and blend it up into that area, so there's a lot less product to get caught into fine lines. So I don't recommend like slapping a bunch of concealer all the way up to your lashes. Don't do that. I mean, do you, but I don't recommend that. Okay, so the next myth is that you can't use powder. Well, I disagree. I think you absolutely can use powder. But when it comes to bronzer and blush and even highlight, I do recommend going in with creams. So now that we have the concealer on, we are going in with our foundation. So why we went in with corrector and concealer first is because now we need a lot less foundation because everything is corrected already. So there are a couple different foundations I recommend for people over 40. I definitely recommend checking out the IT Cosmetics line. They have something for every skin type. They have their CC Plus regular color corrector. This is full coverage and it's a hydrating serum, anti-aging, has sunscreen. It's awesome. And then they have an oil-free version and they have also an illuminating version, which I personally don't use because I have pores and it's just not cute for me. And then they also have their Bye Bye foundation, which is a full coverage moisturizer. So this will leave you dewy and glowy and oh my god, super hydrated. All of them have sunscreen. So it's really great because it's skincare and foundation all in one. Another option is the Too Faced Born This Way. I like this one as well. I'm gonna try this one today. I haven't used it in a long time, but here's what it looks like. It's a very runny type of consistency. And what I like to do is I like to take a foundation brush. This one's dirty, no judgment. And I'm just gonna grab some of the product and I'm gonna just paint it on. Now I only need it on the exterior part of my face. And you of course want to drag it down so that you don't get foundation mask. But I'm only going to apply this on the outside. I'm not going to apply it over the areas where we put concealer because we just don't need to. It's just added product. I'm going to put some on my lids too. You always want to put it on your lids so that everything's even. And now I'm going to take my sponge and I'm just going to blend it out. I really do recommend using a sponge because it pushes the product into the skin and everything melts together. That is what everything looks like right now. As you can see, I used such a little amount of foundation and I didn't need to put it all in these areas. Now, here's the difference. If you're doing your foundation like every YouTuber and even myself included, and you're putting it and you're doing it in that order, primer, foundation, concealer, bronzer, all that, then what you're doing is you're putting one layer on, then you're putting another layer on the center, then you're putting another layer on, and now you're just like layer, 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 right? If you put the corrector and the concealer on first, you don't need to put foundation on this whole part of your face. So now there's just one layer of product all over my entire face and I'm getting the exact same result. So now I can get this full beat with much less product. You know what I'm saying? So now when it comes to bronzers, I'm living for liquid bronzer at the moment. This one is Bronze Your Selfie from Pure Cosmetics. They also make ones from L'Oreal. This one is the Havana from Camila Cabello collab. It's the Sunlit Bronzer. There's all different ones. I like this because it looks so much more natural than a powdered bronzer, which I will probably use anyway also. But you don't have to. So I'm just going to take some of this onto my little tray. Just a little bit like that. And you can do this with a cream or a liquid because they do make cream versions. So this product, actually I think this one isn't made anymore. This is like, they have a bronzer in here, and it's just like a cream version that you can use. Either way, you're gonna see. So, just like a little trick I'm just gonna throw in here for you. If you're having like droopiness on the face, you want to put, the higher you put your bronzer, the more lifted your face is gonna look. So if you wanna put it up here, you're gonna give yourself a more lifted look than if you put it down here. If that makes sense. So I'm just dabbing this along the edges of my face, and I'm using this precision foundation brush from LATTE. I like using this brush because it's almost like, it's not duo fiber, but it's very, I don't know, tapered, and the bristles are all different sizes, so it's just easy to really blend this out. You can also do this before the foundation if you'd like. You know, depending on what the coverage is that you're using, doing it beforehand can also work better. So pretty. I love this product so much. And I'm fairly certain at one point I said that I did a video of products I don't like, I think, and talked about that product, mostly because I didn't know how to use it. Like, liquid bronzers were a mystery to me. I'm like, how do you put them all over your face? And it was mostly because of the order I did my makeup. I couldn't figure out how to make them work for me. And now I'm like living for them. Now, if you have a little bit of drooping right here, like I have, see this little turkey neck situation? Remember that anything you put darkness on, you're pushing in, and anything you put light, you're pulling forward. So this little guy, I want to push him in. So I'm going to put a little bit right there, like that, right on top of him to get rid of him. And you also can, you know, dust your bronzer wherever you want. Alright, so now that we have that, let's talk about powder. Whoever said you can't use powder over 40 was just didn't know. They just didn't know, okay? Here's the deal with powder. You want to make sure that you're using a very finely milled powder and one that isn't drying under the eyes, aka do not use Laura Mercier translucent powder. If you're 25, that's fine. If you're 40, it's not going to work out. It hasn't worked for me since I was 35. So what you want to do, I took mine in a cap. I'm using the Urban Decay Velvetizer. I talk about this powder all the time. It's my favorite. It's translucent. You don't want a powder that has color. You want something that's translucent. I recommend loose because, you know, they do have the Bye Bye Pores from IT. This is translucent. If you prefer pressed, I just feel like pressed can go wrong. It can look cakey easier than loose. So my tip to applying this is with a damp sponge. I like this one from Morphe because it has this flat edge right here, so it makes it very easy to apply. Before you go in, you want to like press out any creases, but like I don't have any because I didn't put that much concealer up there at all, so I don't really need to do that. So I'm just gonna grab some powder onto my sponge. I'm going to start by pressing it on my cheeks, so that's where most of the product's going to go, and then I'm going to press it up under the eyes, so it's less powder. And also by doing it with a damp sponge, you're really melting the product into the skin as opposed to with a brush. I've talked about this powder so many times. I like it because it helps to minimize my pores and it gives me that airbrushed look. But see, it doesn't look super powdery. And then after you do all that, you can then take your brush with your powder, just like a little brush, and you can lightly kind of dust over the other areas of concealer. And you can dust this away too, just to make sure there's no excess. Now, if you do have drooping here, you can take some more powder and just press it over that where you put like a highlight, and it's just gonna brighten it right there so it looks less droopy. Just another little tip. You can leave it there with the powder if you choose. I don't choose. What I like to do is take a gigantic fluffy brush like this and take my powder, the translucent powder, dust it off like a lot, and then just kind of go over everything just so everything kind of locks in place. So it's just, my makeup isn't gonna go anywhere, you know what I mean? So the next myth is that you can't highlight. I disagree with this. You can absolutely highlight. I recommend using a cream. This one here is from Becca. This is Becca Opal, and this is in the poured cream version. You want to use something that is very glossy and not glittery. So how I would apply this is I would take my damp sponge and I would just dip it right in to the product. Now, I recommend keeping it from here, from the bottom of your eyebrow, all the way around to here. If you don't have any fine lines or anything yet, you can put it up here, which I probably will. I like to put it in like a C here. But if you do have wrinkles and fine lines there, you're not going to want to do that. So I'm just pressing it right here, because highlight will draw attention to texture if you have any, more so if you're using one with glitter. So you definitely want to make sure that it's a non-glittery version. You want to always apply this obviously to the high points, and I like to put it on my nose, and you can put it on your nose really at any age. I don't recommend the Cupid's bow if you have any sort of wrinkles around the mouth. But like, look at how nice that looks. It's just giving me a little bit of a dewiness without any sparkle at all. That is what I recommend. If you're afraid of highlight, don't be, because this is going to give me a more youthful glow to the skin. It's going to help you look younger if you're doing it right. But I wouldn't put it here if you have wrinkles or fine lines. You can try it, but I'd try it with a cream. This one is awesome, actually. This is an opal, and this is gorgeous. This looks so nice. There is not a single speck of glitter in this. So it's just giving me a nice glossy sheen. These are underestimated. This is another product I couldn't figure out how to use it for the longest time. Just wasn't meant for me when I was younger. And I do recommend doing that before you do the powder step. So you can leave it here. You can put on a cream blush if you want. I don't really have any cream blushes, so I am not going to do that. But you could have put a cream blush on the cheek if you wanted to before the powders. I'm going to do powder, and I'm going to just put a light dusting of bronzer over the cream just to lock it in place, because I'm extra and you don't have to do any of that. But I'm going to. And I'm going to do my brows, and then we'll be back and I'm going to show you 2 more things that I recommend. 2 more myths that I think are crap. 2 more things to do. I don't even know what I'm calling this video. So I have 2 more tips. I'll be right back. Okay, you guys, so I am back. Makeup's on, lashes are on. The next tip I wanted to just briefly touch on is the myth that you can't wear shimmer shadows on your lids. As you can see, I have a bunch of shimmer on my lids. You can wear shimmer shadows. I wouldn't wear them in the crease. Remember that where you put light comes forward, where you put dark goes backwards. As we age, our lids get hooded. It happens to all of us. It's gravity. And as our lids get hooded, like mine are even starting to get hooded, you start to lose your lid. So I recommend keeping your shimmer nice and bright, to pull the lid forward and to keep your crease a little bit deeper like I have here. And then when you do have hooded lids, you want to apply your shadow above the crease so that you can see the product, because if you put it in the crease when you open your eyes, you're not going to see your eyeshadow and you're going to just lose it. That is my tip for that. And then in terms of the brow bone, that's another myth that I hear, that you can't highlight your brow bone. Highlighting your brow bone is going to lift the eye. It's going to give you that lifted look. So let me grab a brush. The trick is to use something matte. If you use shimmer, just make it like kind of like the highlight where it's more glossy than it is glitter. I would just avoid glitter. So this right here is a nice, beautiful matte bone color. And this is the Sylvia Ghani BH Cosmetics collaboration. And I'm just going to take that on a brush, and you can just pop that right in here on the brow bone. And it's just going to give a very subtle highlight, but it is going to just kind of give an illusion of a more lifted eye. It also helps clean up your crease color too, FYI, so another little trick for you. So yeah, so that is pretty much it for my few tips. I wanted to kind of just dip the toe into the, you know, age appropriate makeup tips, or, you know, I hate the word mature. I don't want to ever use that. Maybe in my titles just for searchability purposes, in case anybody's searching like makeup for mature skin. But this is kind of my first go at over 40s or over 35 makeup. So I just wanted to kind of speak more general terms, and then we'll dive in deeper on, you know, each individual thing more specifically. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you never miss when I upload a video. Follow me on social. My handle's @GlamLatte, and the Glam Latte Beauty Podcast is on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, and CastBox. All the details are in the description box down below, and I have a ton of content over there as well. We have a whole episode that's going to kind of coincide with this video, so you'll get more in-depth discussion about these topics. So if you're interested, make sure you check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.